Did you know your starter base doesn't have to be an ugly dirt hut? Now, yes, you could throw one of these abominations up in a matter of minutes, but wouldn't it be nice to have a starter house you actually consider keeping? Something you can make with materials that can easily be gathered in one day. If that sounds at all appealing, here's how. First, collect lots of dirt, preferably low quality soil, since you'll want to save the good stuff for farming. Open inventory and crafting and lay out the soil in a 2x3 grid to make packed dirt. Then take the packed dirt and lay it out in the same 2x3 grid to make rammed earth. Rammed earth has a bunch of different textures, which you can cycle through by placing it in a single block of the crafting grid. With this much variation, you can add texture to your walls, make some areas look a bit worn and cracked compared to others. Maybe those parts were exposed to the elements and suffered damage as a result. It's a small detail, but it really adds a bit of story to the build. Now, I got a bit carried away and made an actual house-shaped house, which means it's too big to finish on day one. As long as you put a door on and set up a fire, you can sleep here, but you'll have no roof. I could have made a smaller house, but I already laid out the blocks, so now I'm committed to the build. I'll show you a day one house later in the video. Next is to gather grass. Lots and lots of grass. You could use tulle for the roof, but grass is much easier to find. It's quite literally everywhere. And depending on how big of a house you made, you may require several stacks to cover the roof. You will also need lots of knives, because unless you got lucky and found a scythe, you will have to cut every single blade by hand. You are now ready to turn the grass into hay bales, and the hay bales into roof blocks. If you are like me, you did not cut enough grass and will have to go out and get more. I, for one, am regretting not making a smaller house. I bet I could have finished this in a day if I had made it smaller. Instead, it's taking 3 in-game days. That's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of work if I sleep through the night. While trying to figure out how the inner corner of the roof is placed, you might find yourself being greeted by the local wildlife. They tend to be quite rude, so I suggest grabbing your spears and teaching them some manners. You may need to do a bit of running for this part, but in the end you'll have a tasty snack and some pelts which can be turned into useful items. Now that the roof is done, you can add some details. For example, windows. Rough-hewn wood gates make pretty good early game windows. And if you don't mind chopping down a bunch of trees, you can use the wood as support beams and even add a lovely floor. There you go, a dirt hut fit for a king, or queen, or whatever term of rulership you wish to be addressed by. Now, this may be a much nicer dirt house, but it did take 3 days to make. The appeal of the dirt hut is you can make it on day 1. But with this kind of build, is that possible? Can you have a lovely little home on day 1? I'm about 83% certain it's possible, so I'm going to start up a new world just to see if I can. New world, new game. Can I finish a dirt hut before it gets too dark to see on day 1? Let's find out. We start with tools and inventory. Then we look for a good spot to build. We want plenty of time to finish, so we don't want to wander too far, which means this build will essentially be near the world spawn. We also need to grab food so we don't starve. Clear the land, gather the dirt, and make a variety of rammed earth blocks. Start laying them out in the minimal necessary space for a day one house. I learned 2 things from this. First, I probably could have made an even smaller house. I went with a 3x3 interior space, but it probably could have been a 2x2, assuming the campfire wouldn't set my bed alight. The second thing was that I probably only needed 1 stack of dirt. I ended up wasting quite a bit of time trying to get nearly 3 stacks. Moving on, I chopped some wood and put in my aesthetic support beam. I had been gathering grass as I went, so I made my first set of roof blocks and started placing them. I'm not sure how much dry grass I actually needed, but it was considerably more than I had initially gathered. I was starting to worry I wouldn't finish in time, since the sky was getting dark and I still had some roof to complete. I also started to hear wolves nearby. I had only made 1 spear, which meant they would be especially annoying if they came my way. I kept going and managed to put the last roof block in place. The day 1 dirt house was functional. As an extra treat, I made some wood gates to place as windows. I was about to put in wood floors when some drifters came knocking at my door. Thankfully, they can't get inside and I was free to install my final touches. The time was 23:28. Sure, the sun had long since set at this point, but since I finished the final touches before midnight, I think this counts as successfully making a day 1 house that actually looks good. I hope you found this useful. I'll be back again soon with another video. Thanks for watching.